Economics and consciousness. Economics and consciousness. We can no longer afford to divorce these two dynamisms, these two forces in our lives. We cannot, on the one hand, think of the great yogis or mystics who lived their lives in the caves or wilderness, achieving great heights of awareness while having no relationality to humanity or earth. Or for that matter, we cannot think of the great saints who served humanity but are held out as iconic props for religious institutions which will ever wage various forms of war against each other. And simultaneously, we cannot think of economics in simplistically literal terms, as though economics were a reality independent of thinking, because economics is a phenomenon which is completely embedded in concepts. In fact, it is nothing but concepts, and therefore the particular form of economics only arises out of the state of consciousness in which a society finds itself. This, of course, is not unique to economics, but because economics plays such a vital role in the everyday conduct and condition of our lives, it is utterly essential that we attenuate our minds towards economics in a fundamentally different way. We are moving rapidly towards a monetary crisis which now appears unavoidable. Only the most ignorant or willfully self-delusional are listening to the mainstream media financial talking heads as though they were actually reporters objectively covering stories. Financial news is now little more than constant advertising. It is a spoon-feeding of interpretation on highly selected topics. No one is supposed to think. That is the game. That is the real message, the powerfully subliminal message, just don't think. Because if we think, then we are going to see a life condition in which freedom, as we are conditioned, is an illusion. We are conditioned what to wear, what to eat, who and what to love, and who and what to hate, on and on, what to think, and therefore, finally, what we are. And all of this, to a very large extent, is controlled through economics, because economics underscores education. And ignorance is not bliss, it is slavery. Until, finally, so much is robbed of people's minds that they are easily driven into de facto physical slavery. So how do we begin thinking about economics differently? We start by seeing economics for what it is. And what it is pure mechanical pretense. There is nothing real about economics. Hunger is real. An apple is real. But the money in between is pure concept. But we have lost track of that trick, and we have come to believe in the concept with the same veracity as the hunger and the apple. This is important because we cannot and will not get ourselves out of the impending economic crisis with the same state of consciousness that got us into it. The situation has shifted out of patchwork solutions where another mechanical lever, whether it's Keynesian or Austrian or etc., is going to give us another mechanical lifeline. We have financially already spent that future. So, we are headed for a consciousness shift. It is unavoidable. Unfortunately, what is not clear is whether that shift will be evolutionary or de-evolutionary? Will we see the wizard behind the curtain and transcend the state of consciousness that facilitated this great hazard? Or will we recoil in fear and desperation, turning one against the other until the knock comes upon our own psychic door and we submit ourselves into the darkness that has visited so many others around the globe? It is perfectly clear that there are people, powerful people, who would like to see us in greater bondage. They are pure ego machine, driven by a dark combination of that dearth of consciousness, blind to the fundamental interrelationalities of everything, and exquisitely sharp mind functionalities. And they have, unfortunately, sufficiently manipulated social networks and institutions such that they can soon bring about a world economic crisis and then offer the quote-unquote solution to that crisis. And we can be guaranteed that that solution, like the Fed solution, will be in the direction of more bondage for us. It is a high-wire act of the most profound magnitude and with the most profound consequences. They are dreaming a terrible dream, and we are being moved in one direction or the other by their terrible dream. So we must choose, and we must choose well, lest we condemn our children and generations to come into a servitude from which they would have no experience of a better, more liberated life. The solutions which I wish to discuss are not flights of esoteric fancy, but practical means and techniques of financial, psychological, emotional liberation. But the orientation must be completely different. Money, wealth, capitalism, socialism, regulation, and a multitude of other concepts are completely anachronistic insofar as their orientation is based in what we think of as reality. Ultimately, unconditional love is what is real. But we cannot get there from here. We must change in the most essential way, where here is.